What is pushed on women is to not be like other girls. Society is really adamant about having women embody qualities of masculinity, who lose themselves, that will get screwed over, that will be left with nothing. We don't even see people giving up their seats for elderly people on the bus anymore. How do you have joie de vivre when you are getting yelled at on the phone on a regular, everyday to day basis? Concept of sitting in the mess, of sitting in the unorganization, and don't hate the player, hate the game. The ideal woman. Does she exist, and how can we be more like her? Welcome back to the channel, lovely feminine friends. Thank you so much for being here. Every time that you hit the like button, it makes me smile because I'm trying to get to over 300 likes on every video that I put out. And I also encourage you to subscribe, to hit that red button if you haven't done so already, to join our community of women in the femininity revolution that are truly trying to make a difference in the world when it comes to more traditional and classic femininity. So today's topic was inspired by the fact that many of you know, if you follow me on Instagram, by the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do so, that I consume a lot of vintage beauty books. Every time I go to the thrift store or a vintage store, I look for those beauty books because I like to seek inspiration from the past. I also like to compare the standard of beauty as well as womanhood in the past to what it is today. Now, of course, styles evolve. Women are living different lifestyles on average now, but there are some core tenets that I have found have stuck throughout time. These are things that are shared across all cultures in all countries that encompass what it means to be the ideal woman. I want to make it clear that when I talk about becoming the ideal woman, I am not picturing a certain type of personality. Many of you know that I am a Catholic woman and I don't like to push my faith on you, but I think that amazing examples where we can see ideal womanhood play out is through the various female saints that we have in our faith. They all had different missions, they lived completely different lifestyles, but there were some things that they all shared in common, some goals, ideals, virtues that we can extract from their examples and apply them to our lives today. Now, mainstream society likes to tell us that there is this type of ideal woman that is pushed upon many of us today, but I would like to argue that over the past couple of years, we have seen this kind of be broken down in terms of what is pushed on women is to not be like other girls, to have a sort of rebellion against this. And although that can be positive in the sense that, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we don't want to change our personalities, but we've kind of evolved into this laissez-faire type of culture where the line between accepting our flaws and sitting in our flaws, I mentioned that in one of my previous videos, I'm going to link it above, has become blurred. And it doesn't really matter if you like what I have to say or you're out there trying to fight some invisible force that you believe is against women. The fact of the matter is that many of us want to find a man that will love us and commit to us for life. We want to have children or another type of creative outlet or multiple creative outlets, and we just want to look pretty. A lot of these things can be accomplished through what I'm going to talk to you about, the tenets of the ideal woman. So although you might dislike the concept of this message, there are attributes that exist out there that I think will better our lives if we strive to apply them to how it fits in our lifestyle. So without further ado, let's get into the first point, which is a little bit of a saucy concept, and that is to become more agreeable. Now, I'm not telling you to say yes to everything. I'm not telling you not to have boundaries, but what I found in today's society is that many people are quick to dismiss others or opposing views under some sort of umbrella of narcissism. Despite what critics might think on this channel, I know so many financially successful women entrepreneurs, for example, people in big careers. And something that I have noticed that goes against what society says is that many of them got there through having pleasant interactions with other people, through playing up feminine charm, through understanding when to ask somebody a question and how to get what you want through emotional intelligence. So my point here is that I want you to look at the qualities of an agreeable person. I want you to find the ones that apply to your personality the best, and I want you to think about how you can apply these in your everyday life. Society is really adamant about having women embody qualities of masculinity in order to be successful, but the truth is that there are many highly feminine women who play up their nurturing side, for example, that are able to get the job done. So while society tells you that you should probably lean out of your femininity more so, I am telling you to lean into it. For example, the woman who understands the power of her femininity is better able to listen to others rather than focusing on how she needs to put her foot down. She's able to pause and truly extract every detail of a conversation, which she can later use as ammo in negotiation. And I am thinking about the career woman in this sense, but it doesn't just apply to her. Many of you who gravitate towards my content live a similar lifestyle to me, where you are a stay-at-home mom or a full-time housewife. And so this tool is going to be very important in your personal business, which is your home, which is your family life. I know this concept might be a little bit vague, so what you really have to do is go through my femininity playlist, because I do add in little tidbits of information that kind of help you curate a lifestyle where you're able to play up more of your agreeable qualities. Now, I wanted to put a point totally dedicated to this aspect, which is nurturing, because this is a highly feminine quality, something that the ideal woman possesses, because it honestly comes down to even our basic biology. We nourish a child from our bodies. And although you might not have children, this is something that is innate in everybody. This is something that I have found very surprising about myself, because I was never a person who necessarily wanted children in that way where I had baby fever from a young age. I just kind of assumed it would happen in my life. But as I became a mom, something inside me truly sparked that spirit. And again, you don't have to have children in order to do this, but something we have seen historically is just that comforting feeling that you have in the presence of a nurturing feminine woman. And I do find that now we live in a culture that is kind of causing for us to judge that. Women who take the time to care for others are seen as these types of individuals who lose themselves, that will get screwed over, that will be left with nothing. And I find that that is a very extreme example, degrading something that is very beautiful. We even see this in motherhood culture. There are so many coaches that cause for moms to judge their natural ability to mother. And I'm not knocking you if you use somebody's system, for example. I'm just using this to illustrate that those can be nice tools to help you on your journey, but you have everything that you need inside of you. So back to nurturing as a concept. How can you do this if you are not a mom or you live a different lifestyle? Maybe you're 18 years old and you're a student in university. Well, simplistically, you can start by thinking of others. We live in a self-centered culture. Chances are, even though you might think that you are a nice person and you are considerate of others, we all are kind of a little bit selfish nowadays, because the emphasis is so much on personal self-care. So you're not going to lose anything by starting to focus on other people. For my younger viewer, I am going to give you an example of when I was in university. I had to notice that just thinking about in my study group, bringing snacks for people in my study group would be so appreciated. I had a friend that I had brought a bagel to one time, and he was so appreciative of me doing that, because nobody had ever thought to bring him a sandwich or do anything of that nature. We don't even see people giving up their seats for elderly people on the bus anymore, or holding doors. It feels good to help other people, and it's going to be a cumulative effect. The more that you dip your toes into thinking of other people, the more it's going to become natural in your life. This is going to help you so much if you are somebody who wants a more traditional marriage, because we often hear that the first year of marriage is the hardest, and I do think that that is because many people come into marriage with self-centeredness. They believe that it has to be a 50-50 equal split, but marriage will never be totally equal. There will always be one person that is pulling their weight at more times than the other, and you will grow in resentment if you do not have a giving spirit. And again, I know I'm going to have some people listen to this think that I'm telling you that you have to completely give everything up for somebody else, but that absolutely is not true. There is a healthy balance. And for those of you who are new, I just have to put a little bit of a disclaimer that my baby has been in the background, so you might have heard him. You might also hear him playing with his little toy right now. It just is what it is as a mom of a baby who doesn't really take long naps. So let's talk about schmecks. I don't know if I can say this word on my video without it getting flagged, and I don't want it to get flagged, so we're gonna say it's schmecks. The ideal woman is somebody who is highly attuned to her sensuality as well as her schmexuality. I've talked about in the past how sensuality is different than schmexuality, but sensuality is something that can get you to feel more comfortable with schmexuality. I want you to picture the woman that is truly vibrant, that has this type of joie de vivre, and the easiest way that you can get there, because I know many of you are probably listening to this and you're like, Cynthia, I work some sort of horrible job. Trust me, I worked in a call center when I was in school. And how do you have joie de vivre when you are getting yelled at on the phone on a regular every day-to-day basis? Well, you try to live in the moment, and when you are not doing that job, you try to find joy in the smallest things. For example, picking up a coffee when you go home. This also goes back to the concept of romanticizing motherhood, where every little thing, if you take the time to slow down mentally, can be enjoyable. There are times where you don't necessarily have a huge block of time to, for example, do your nails and feel the joie de vivre and the sensuality and having gorgeous nails and pampering yourself like a spa. But I guarantee there are little things that you can do on an everyday basis. For example, for me, my baby, he used to have difficulty sleeping at the beginning, but I knew that it was essential for my mental health that some of those cliche self-care things. And a good example of this was that I was able to find a swing and a bouncer that he liked, and I would plop him in there and take a bubble bath right next to him. Nature does this for me. Finding time to go in nature. I take my baby out there. It is stimulating for him, and at the same time, I'm able to observe the changing of the seasons. I used to do this a lot with my dogs. Instead of just seeing it as a chore where I had to take them on a walk to burn some energy, I looked at it as an experience. And back to the concept of schmecks in particular, I find that today's culture, saving that experience for somebody that you are committed to in a long-term relationship is so great, and it's going to help you become more ideal because you are going to feel comfortable around this person. A lot of people think that you need to practice at this in order to be good at it, but that simply is not true. You need to become a sensual person. You know, I have only been with my husband, but he seems very happy, and most importantly, I do want you to think of yourself when it comes to this category, because oftentimes when you think of yourself as a woman, it just makes the experience so much better in a relationship because you have that level of comfort. You are able to attend to your needs, which is very satisfying for your husband. If you are truly a woman in tune with her body, you don't need anybody to tell you what to do or to watch anything. You have, again, everything that you need within you. We have a little assistant here, but I have two more points I want to get through. The first one that I want to talk to you about is the concept of having your life together, which I'm actually going to make a video on in depth over the next couple weeks. But I want to encourage you to be the ideal woman. It doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, but there is a level of organization and rejection of hot mess culture. I have noticed over the past couple of years, particularly when it comes to motherhood, although none of us are perfect, and I do think that it's important to have safe spaces to vent, that there is this concept of sitting in the mess, of sitting in the unorganization and the chaos. And although I do think that is true to a certain extent, I also want to encourage you to strive for more, to kind of reject this mentality. And again, to understand that we are not perfect, but there are things that we can do to help us feel as though we have things put together. And maybe it's just my type A personality, but that causes for me to truly thrive. And it helps me feel more so like the ideal woman. Lastly, we are going to talk about appearance. And don't hate the player, hate the game, but appearance does make a difference. And again, with that hot mess culture and this kind of like androgynous type of lazy attire that is very mainstream today, you know, I will never judge anybody for what they are wearing or how they present themselves, but I know that you on this channel are trying to go for more. And the ideal woman is somebody who pretty much takes her beauty and her appearance to the next level. I've talked about in the past how I believe that every woman can be beautiful by the age of 30, which is something my mother had always told me, because your 20s are the years where you can truly learn skills that are going to help you enhance what you have. And for those of you who are looking for a husband, I want you to understand that most men prefer a woman who is cute, not necessarily a perfect 10, but has the other personality qualities that I have talked about in this video. That is somebody who is easy to get along with, that is somebody who is understanding, nurturing, creative in her own way. Many times this includes having children. So I don't want you to think that you need to necessarily be this perfect Barbie doll model. And I have plenty of videos where I go more specifically in depth. So again, look at my femininity playlist. But I do want to emphasize that health is of utmost importance. Taking care of your health, eating right, exercising in even the smallest ways. You know, I don't do super intense HIIT workouts, but this is going to be something that will help you become an ideal woman, since your body is going to be in its natural alignment, in its most natural state, hormonally balanced. Your gut health, which impacts your mental health, will be strong. And this is why historically we have seen women who look the most fertile being the ideal woman, because a lot of that has to do with health. If you have anything to add on to this conversation, please leave it down below, because there are so many things, particularly stuff that I've learned from my vintage books, that I could make a 2-hour segment on. But as you can see, I don't have that time. So I love you all, lovely feminine friends. See you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, we'll go play now. Okay.